it's just the nature of the world that we're in. And there is a different kind of energy for each element and for each season. And when I communicate it to people, they often go, oh yeah, I feel that. Oh yeah, I get it. So the energy for this season, for winter, up until about the end of February, is that nurturing, retreative, internal energy, which is generally highly creative, but not necessarily productive. You don't necessarily produce great works of art or beautiful living rooms or great meals from this time. And it's normal and it's natural. And we accepting that is a great thing, because if you accept it, then you can move on. And one of the reasons we put Lynn's card in here, because once you look at this, you'll go home and go, what? This is Lynn, who's a friend of Devin's, been a friend of Devin's for a long time. He's a great guy. He's a chef, and he will prepare meals and deliver them, or you can pick them up. I don't know. I don't know how to do this. But look at his website. If you, especially because we're all women here, don't beat yourself over the head if you're not producing dinner every night, and try to find healthy, great dinners, and he will produce them for you. But that being said, this is also a time for really good nurturing food. Stews, stuff made with bone broth, foods that are live root vegetables, good solid beef, good grass-fed beef, that kind of stuff, to help build your energy back up. And you will be receiving in the mail, probably Monday, Caitlin will be sending out the Mito Food Plan, which is from the Institute of Functional Medicine, that is all about restoring energy at the cellular level.
Yeah, I've tried some of the recipes.
Have you?
Yeah, they're
Yeah,
really
they are
flavorful.
good.
Yeah.
This is the time to build your energy up, so that in the summertime you're doing all that crazy stuff you really want to do, like burning the candle at both ends and running on the beach and windsurfing and all that kind of stuff. Don't do it now. The other thing that I want to say is that measuring hormones is often a really good idea if you continue to feel energetically low. And what's valuable about that is not so much that if your cortisol is low in the morning, then we can boost it up, because it's harder to boost than just giving somebody a pill. It actually requires some change in lifestyle, which includes really resting a lot. Once you tap your adrenals out, it takes a long time to kind of pull them back around. I want to add to that, if you've had a head trauma, that's very similar to having very burnt out adrenals. Have you heard of adrenal burnout?
Mm-hmm.
Let me, I think that was one page I was going to put in here that I didn't. Would you? I'll find it before everybody leaves. And it really, adrenals take a long time to pull back around. That being said, having your cortisol and your DHEA checked, which are just two of the hormones that the adrenals pump out, at least can give you a baseline of where you're at and what you can expect for how much better you can be over time. So I have very young people, 32-year-old coming in with low cortisol in the morning, low cortisol throughout the whole day. And I said to her, this is going to be years. She's coming for infertility. For all of us who've already had children, she doesn't want to have a baby. She doesn't know it, but she doesn't want to have a baby because she's too tired. She has to set herself up to have more energy to give to another being. Now, but for postmenopausal people, low adrenal function can be, you can tune into whether you have low adrenal function if menopause is really difficult. If menopause was difficult, then you definitely have low adrenals, because what's supposed to happen, not just for women but also for men, is that as your sex organs begin to kind of not produce as much stuff, the adrenals come in and take over. And if the adrenals aren't taking over, then you have this whole sequelae of menopausal symptoms or menopausal symptoms that make life miserable. And DHEA, which is a pill you can take and is very inexpensive, can help to kind of offset some of that. But there is no magic pill for that. Now, we talked about the immune system a little bit, and that the immune system, if it's upregulated, can really suck the life out of you too. Because it's always trying to create a fight, right? And that's when we do things like check the microbiome and see if there's an underlying issue there, and or a lot of people who have autoimmune diseases have some kind of latent viral problem. Latent viral problems are as simple as Epstein-Barr virus, or having had mono at some time in the past, you probably have a latent Epstein-Barr virus. And there are some, I'm not going to say easy fixes, but a few different things you can do, including taking monolaurin, which is lauric acid, and that's a whole nother conversation. Some of the other pill fixes, because that's what everybody's looking for fatigue or pulling energy into the body, are these two things. Cordyceps, which is a mushroom. This is a Chinese mushroom. It used to, in the old days, really old days, only the emperors and the emperor's family would have it. It is a fungus that is grown in silkworm. That's why that says Cordyceps CS4, because this is actually a manufactured Cordyceps. And if you want to learn more about it, there's a sheet of paper underneath there that tells you all about Cordyceps. It's actually also antiviral. This is something I take every day. It's just a food that we can't buy anymore. It's also great for oxygen optimization in the body. The other one is adrenal distress guard, which is rhodiola. And rhodiola is a Siberian herb that is an adaptogen. And what that means is that whatever your body needs it for, it will go there. So it can help to boost the immune system. It can help to boost energy. It's very gentle. Most people do really well with it. But for people who are tired and just finding that they're not quite getting their energy up in the morning, that I recommend taking that for 2 months. You don't take it more than 2 months. But I have people who beg to go back on it because they notice such a change in their energy. And again, it's not like drinking 12 cups of caffeine. It's more of a subtle, happy energy. And I want to end with just talking about what happy means, right? Have you seen Qigong masters or Tai Chi people, Easterners who meditate? They're usually smiling when they do it. When we do Qigong in group, we always start with smiling, because establishing that level of, I am happy, and I'm right now while I'm practicing Qigong, I'm going to be happy, and I'm only going to accept happiness in my life, builds energy. It's not because they're happy. It's because they're trying to be happy. Anyway, the interesting thing about people who take adrenal distress guard at different times, and especially the people who haven't ever taken it and they take it for 2 months and they want more, is that they do seem a lot happier. So there's a theme here in what I have to say, and that is that there are lots of different reasons for being tired, but affirming happiness and doing the things that create happiness are the things that are going to build energy. And beginning to understand in your personal circadian rhythm, where is it that my energy is taken away from me? Where is it that I'm giving too much? And what do I need to do to fix that? So this is not meant to be group therapy, but in your own way. I mean, written in your own language and privately. I hope now that when you leave here, you'll have a mantra of your own, whether it's an image or a sentence or a word or a place that you think of or a feeling. I'm not really a kinesthetic person. I always find it interesting when I tell somebody, okay, when I put needles in them and I try to figure out, what do you need a feeling? And they say, oh no, I need a feeling. The feeling I always think is great and energy producing is being in a warm cocoon. Now, that doesn't sound like energy, But when you think about what it is for a caterpillar to turn into a butterfly, that is the most creative place to be, a warm cocoon. The other thing that I want to say is that color is often very helpful. And every color has its own energy, right? There may be a color you resonate with. And don't underestimate that color's power to give you energy. So it's not necessarily the color you look best in. And it's not necessarily the color that you jump to when you think about how you're going to redecorate your house. But if you sit with different colors, and even if that means getting a painter's wheel or something like that, you will find a color that just kind of gives you a charge. Or you'll find multiple colors that give you a charge. And using those in your immediate environment, but also just imagining them when you're going to sleep. There is, in just about every tradition, before you go to bed is when you can program yourself most powerfully for being better, right? There's the Lord's Prayer before you go to sleep. In Japan, they usually do some sort of mantra before they go to sleep. Have you seen Masaru Emoto's water crystals? Have you seen that? I don't think I have one here because I think I really devoured them and I took a couple of them home, but he's a Japanese man who did pictures of water crystals that were subjected to different frequencies and different prayers from a distance and close and different words. And it's pretty amazing to see how the water crystallizes and changes. And his big message to the world is we are 98% water, right? Supposedly. We're really not. We're 70%. But and some of us are even less. But that the water in our body takes on affirmations. And so affirming that you are whatever you want to be. But he recommends affirming that you love yourself and that you love your life and that you love the people who are in your life. And the funny thing about affirming that is that if you do, you'll suddenly realize who's not. So I hate to say it, but eliminating relationships that are sucking the life out of you. It's not worth it. It's not worth it to you. It's not worth it to them. It's not an appropriate thing for you to be doing for yourself. And then there's one other thing. Oh, and then, of course, if you want to take pills, you do that too. You eat food, and I always think of this stuff as very concentrated food, but you eat food that gives you energy. That's what the Mito Food Plan is about. That's what supplements are about. It's concentrated food that will give you energy. And then ultimately, if you find that you're not building energy, usually there's some other imbalance that really needs to be looked at. Like, do you need to detoxify? And that's part of the reason we have everybody move into detoxification during equinoxes and just create that as part of your ritual, your yearly ritual. There might be some other nutraceutical imbalance, which is always something we're looking at when we do the BIAs and looking at people's energy level. But we are more than our physical body, and we are hardwired to feel well. And we often don't talk about how to self-talk, how to nurture energy within ourselves, and what relationships are right for us. And that's what I have to say about that. So does anybody have any questions or comments or other needs? I haven't said everything that's in here. And we have a bunch of functional medicine from the IFM database, recommendations on suggestions for better sleep. I think there's something about pain and chronic fatigue. The other thing that's in here is a sleep apnea score questionnaire. If you have sleep apnea, I highly recommend you do everything you can to fix that. There's not a lot I can do for you, but there's a lot your dentist can do for you, which is amazing to me. But they have these little appliances that are pretty inexpensive. Sleep studies are good. CPAPs, I guess, really help people. I hear that they do wonderful things for people. I can't imagine being hooked up to that machine and sleeping, but I do know that dentists. So the other thing, and I don't know if you pull it up, but the first thing that comes up in my little folder is breathing techniques to soothe the soul. And there are lots of different kinds of breathing techniques. We did, I think a couple of seminars ago, we did alternate nostril breathing. Did we do that? Did we?
I
Okay.
think so.
Well, alternate nostril breathing is a great thing to do, but I thought today we would end with Wim Hof breathing, which is a form of not retaining, the opposite of retaining your breath. A lot of people do retaining breath because that seems more comfortable. We're going to do an exhale and try to hold the exhale for as long as possible. So I just want to talk about that for a minute, and I'm going to have to get my clock to do it too. So one of the things that has been found is that when you exhale and hold your exhale, that anxiety decreases. Also, the pH in your blood becomes less acidic. So those two things alone are kind of phenomenal. The other thing is that you have to engage your core, and everybody needs to engage their core more. So I want you to sit up kind of on the edge of your seat, nice and straight. You want your feet on the floor, and you want to put the tip of your tongue at the front of your hard palate, so that your tongue is. And please take. I think we're 6 feet apart. If you don't mind, if you don't want to, don't. But tip of the tongue in front of the hard palate, and go ahead and close your eyes, but look up. And then take a deep breath in through your nose, as deep as you can. Really fill your lungs up. And then drop the tongue and exhale through your mouth as hard as you can. And really pull your belly button back. Make your rib cage kind of begin to fold in. In other words, close your gills and then stop and hold that exhale as long as you can. And if you got to 7. Did you get to 7 seconds? There you go. You got to 15. I don't know where Mary was. That's something to practice. That's a great thing to practice at night before you go to bed, because it's very relaxing. Usually you do it 4 times. But the other thing is you realize where you're holding tension. It's actually like doing a little yoga before you go to sleep. So most of us hold tension in our lungs through here and here. It's amazing how many people splay this, and this is your core. So it's actually will put you in touch with where you're holding, but it will also help to relax your nervous system. So we do it 4 times. We're going to do it 3 more times. So the tongue in front of the heart palate. Deep breath in. And then exhale through your mouth, dropping the tongue. And just really close your gills down. Really get rid of all of that breath. And if you find a little bit more, go ahead and get rid of it a little bit more. And a little more. Really close those gills down. Pull your belly button back. So we're at 15 seconds right now. This is, it doesn't, I mean, certainly everybody's tolerance is where it's at, and it's something to work on. But the real heavy hitters in the Wim Hof world, do you guys know who Wim Hof is? He is a Dutch guy who is now, has a group on, you can find him on Facebook. He used to swim under icebergs. He did phenomenal feats. He's a proponent of doing ice baths, all that kind of stuff. But you use this breath to get into what he's doing. But the amazing thing is that he has really helped people get over autoimmune disease by teaching them this breath and having them do ice baths. I am not going to do an ice bath, and I'm not going to ask you to do it. But this we can do.
Yes.
At any rate, the reason it works though is because it changes your nervous system. And when you change your nervous system, it turns on the parasympathetic nervous system. When you begin to turn that on, things happen. So this is the way, and sleep requires that your parasympathetic nervous system be turned on. So this is one thing you can do at night before you go to bed, or when you're feeling anxious, or if you feel particularly tired, it will help to balance things out. The tip of the tongue and the front of the heart palate stimulates or connects both the governing vessel and the conception vessel, which are the two biggest energy vessels in the body. So we're gonna do it one more time. And he recommends, he tries to get people to go first to 20, and then you work on going further and further. When I was working on it, actually there's also a physical therapist who has people, the postural restoration physical therapist has people do this. But you just work on, it's amazing, and how quickly you can hold it longer and longer, almost scary long. I have a young woman who finally showed me, who was like, watch, I can do it for 2 minutes. I'm like, oh, that's really long. It was really long. I'm like, really? Are you sipping air secretly somehow? But she did it. She was a warrior girl. Anyway, do what you can. But if you can work up to 20 seconds, that's great. If you can work up to 40 seconds, that's even greater. 40 seconds is sort of the optimal. So we're gonna do it one more time. Both feel the floor. Tip of the tongue in front of our heart palate. Deep breath in through your nose. Really fill your lungs up. This is a deep internal massage. And then exhale with your tongue dropping down, and really just pull your belly button back, contract your ribs, let those gills just close everything down. There's this one guy I was teaching to do this. And if you have flared ribs like this, and you do see it on people when they're laying on their stomach, you know that they haven't been engaging their gills very well. And he was so yeah. Exhale. He would not exhale. You exhale, and then cheat, pull a little more air in. So if you feel like doing that, I just say cheat and exhale a little bit more. But here's such a stinker. And there is we put him through a treatment for that because he refused to exhale fully. Sometimes people will refuse to exhale fully because they have had a history of pneumonia or asthma, but that is the treatment for pneumonia and asthma, is that you get somebody to exhale fully to actually empty their lungs out. So let's do our due diligence and do one more time. Okay, so tip of the tongue in the front of the heart palate, feet on the ground, deep breath in through the nose. And after you've filled your lungs all the way up, then you exhale through the mouth. And really feel every little spot just contract. Your belly button back to your spine, your ribs are all knitting together, your shoulders have dropped down because the ribs have come down. And if you find a little more, exhale a little bit more. That's 20 seconds. So even, I wasn't watching everybody really carefully, but even in that short time, people seem to increase their ability to exhale. And I don't know, you kind of begin to feel maybe a little different. Do you feel different?
Yeah.
And the difference is that you're more relaxed, and people interpret that in different ways. When people tell me they're dizzy after doing this, I realize that they really need to. Like, whoa, that's not dizzy, that's relaxed. So, anyway,